Barbara Byrne is a renowned, highly sought-after corporate advisor and experienced independent director with over 30 years of experience. She's presently a director on the boards of Paramount, where she's the chair of the audit committee. Barbara is a longtime Wall Street veteran, where she served as vice chairman of Barclays and Lehman Brothers prior to that, where she was the first woman to serve as vice chairman, and where I first heard the privilege of meeting and working closely with her. I've known Barbara for over 25 years and proud to say that I've learned the art and love of the banking trade from Barbara. We started working together at Lehman Brothers when I joined as an associate in 1996. And so I couldn't think of a person more fitting to launch this podcast series with my mentor and dear friend, Barbara Byrne. So welcome to the Storytellers podcast, Barbara.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
Barbara, you've had a storied career as a banker, advisor, academic, a philanthropist, and corporate board member. And as my mentor, I had the absolute fortune to hear your insights and lessons from various powerful anecdotes, situations, war stories, incredibly entertaining narratives, as well as firsthand observations. So I first met you in 1998. Mm-hmm. You were still sitting on the 16th floor at 200 Vesey in the NatRes group, Natural Resources. And at that time, it was rare to have senior women in banking, let alone in the energy sector, which was very much a close circle of the good old boys club, so to speak. So talk to us. How did you start in energy, and how did you navigate that environment?
Well, I'm an opportunist. And where you see opportunity or you see daylight, I tend to move toward it. I worked at Mobil for 4 years in refining and marketing. And that's what I got out of college. I wanted to be around physical product. And then I knew in 1980 that Wall Street was exploding. If you think back, that was the beginning in the overall markets. And I interviewed on the street in order to be able to get a job. So I got the offer at Lehman Brothers. And Lehman Brothers at that point had a very strong natural resources department. Much to my surprise, they really didn't understand a lot about the fundamentals of the supply and distribution, et cetera, because I was in such a narrow function. I was interviewed and I was hired to go into that area, worked an awful lot on processes, pipelines, a little bit of E&P. You're right, with an all-male group. And I don't think anyone thought I would survive. And in fact, I worked my first 26 weekends in a row with the thought that they could drive me out. But I think you know me well enough. That's a little hard to do.
So do you think it was an advantage or a disadvantage of being a woman? Like, were you able to capitalize on being different?
Yes. I mean, you always can, and everybody has a difference, right? So to understand, how can you be heard? But I will be honest with you, in my first year, this is what I love about Lehman Brothers, was a very small firm, private. And at the end of my first year, I had a review, and I was told I was number 7 out of 7. And I went, but wait a minute, why am I at the bottom? He goes, well, we do have something nice to say about you. I said, what's that? This is a legendary guy named Alan Kaplan. He said, you dress well. And what he had done, I try to explain this to people at times about what a review was like back in 1981, where they called you in and they said, your work is good, your ideas are great, terrific, you dress well. We don't think you're socially comfortable here at the firm. And it was just being female. And I said, well, I'm going to prove to you that I'm very comfortable here and I can do the work and we're going to work well together. It's going to work out just fine. I just always stayed optimistic and upbeat. I didn't get angry. I understood their mindset, where they were coming from, and what I found is the clients were far more receptive, that I could deliver tough messages in a way they could hear them. I was a little bit more wind beneath your wings as opposed to how smart am I, so I'm going to tell you what to do, which tended to be a little bit of the male macho type of experience. That
a bit disarming.
Look, everyone in this business, any business, it's people, right? And if you set yourself up in competition with others, it creates walls, no windows. So my belief has always been, okay, here's the job, here's the assets we have, here are our liabilities. How can we as a team, and you know this because I always talked about it, how do I build a bridge, right? And I always would love the challenge of, oh, that company will never talk to us again. Someone blew it up, and I go, oh, what a window. It's easier to convert someone who hates you than it is someone who doesn't think about you at all. right? So those were real opportunities for me. And then I started in Nat Re. And then what occurred is I'm curious. And so things would come up and like, oh, that's interesting. And back in the 1980s, they were looking at splitting up companies. They had all been put together in the 60s and 70s, and you began to spin them out. So I studied that, IPO spinoffs, et cetera. And I think in 1988 did the initial first time we did a simultaneous IPO spinoff for the Burlington Northern companies. And that was something that I had pitched and won. It was interesting.
And you've built that cottage industry for Lehman Brothers.
I did. And I published it. I worked with Bob Willens, who at the time was a tax expert.
Actually, he's still an advisor.
I know. He's very good. I mean, so if you're out there, Bob, you're terrific at this. But I wrote the book on how to think about this: IPO spinoffs, 355 split-offs, royalty trusts, master limited partnerships, things that monetize specific cash flows, and in particular in the energy industry, these products were particularly helpful at a time when we were going through energy crisis to be able to develop reserves.
So that expertise actually was also in the tech sector, and maybe that's a good segue to the next line of questions that I wanted to explore. But we did work on the IPO spin of VMware out of EMC.
Yes.
So the segue is that, so you're a managing director at the height of your career, and you made this pivot in 1998 and transitioned to covering the technology sector. And then later on, you even expanded that universe further across sector to cover some of the highest profile and maybe more challenging names, whether it be GE, Sara Lee, HP. So in hindsight, somebody could say, the move into the technology sector was prescient because every company is being impacted by digital transformation and every company wants to call itself a tech company or at least be valued as one. But in the world that we live in where bankers covet their relationships, you gave up a sector, you gave up a client base to maybe start anew. Walk us through that experience, and how did you reinvent yourself at that stage?
It was absolutely terrifying because the reason I had a technology client was a lot of the old tech companies were particularly paranoid about the banker knowing their technology versus someone else. So I was asked to take on a company called Digital Equipment, which had been pretty much of a house account for Lehman Brothers when a senior partner was leaving. At that point, the sole reason they asked me was I was a good banker. I was known to be a good structured banker and that I could handle this account and figure it out. But all I knew about servers, Michal, at that point was I thought they were plates. I'm like, what kind of plates are these people making? I'm like, oh, my God, I don't understand. But I brought on the team, whether it was, Linnea who came on board or everyone else, and we worked on digital. And we managed to merge digital with Compaq in 1998. And the firm wanted me at that point in time to move into tech. This was not an idea I had, although I had learned enough about tech over 3 or 4 years in this one account that they felt it was credible. I initially, when asked to do this, said no. I had 4 small children. I had an established client base. I could produce a reasonably predictable revenue stream, and I was in my comfort zone. And they asked me to please step totally out of your comfort zone. And you can keep 2 of your energy clients, but everything else you have to yield, which was terrifying. And you're going into a field where everyone seems to be smarter than you. I had to study tremendously. I leveraged the people just like yourself. I'm like, explain to me what you're seeing, what you're doing, and linking it into straight corporate finance advice and building relationships.
And goes without saying, incredibly successful career in tech and beyond. So maybe when you think over the 30 plus years of doing that, is there any particular transaction that stands out where deliver value, kind of beating the odds, representing the underdog, or memorable for any reason?
Memorable. I can give you a couple. I mean, I mentioned earlier the Burlington. That was memorable because that was the year I made managing director from that transaction. And it was a company that somehow someone at the firm over the years had alienated the leadership at that company. So I said, I want to go out. This is from when I was doing my studies on IPO spinoffs. I said, I really would like to go out and pitch to Burlington that they should separate the railroad and the energy businesses. And nobody wanted to come with me. So it was myself and an associate that went out to pitch to the CFO. And the CEO I had reached out to, I didn't know him from Adam, but I knew he was an Irish Catholic guy who had gone to Holy Cross College. So I researched his background. I called him up. I got him. I said, I'm coming. Could you come and listen to this meeting as well? Well, unbeknownst to me, Morgan Stanley, managing director in transportation, his name was Jim Rundy, had already pitched all of this, and he had been hired, right? So I get there, and he said my presentation was, because there's often a benefit in having limited information. If you know too much, you get too deep into the weeds. I knew just enough to be dangerous, right? And I said, no, you should spin off the energy company, not the railroad company, regulatory. Got hired, asked to lead the books, led the books. It was the first major equity transaction done after the crash of '87. And then we turned around and split the company into pieces. That's memorable because that really tipped the scales for me personally, and I also had great relationships with that company. One of the most memorable pitches I've ever done, you were part of. You might remember this. When I just got dropped into the tech business, I had to prove that I could deliver, and we targeted EMC. We were able to get a meeting, yourself, me, and Linnea, to go pitch, and there were 7 other bankers pitching, and I interpreted what they really needed was a little different than what they were asking for, and you might recall that I wanted them to remember us, and under deep duress, I addressed, there was an all-female team. I said, we're going to wear pastels. And I think you said something like, they're going to think we're the welcome wagon or something like that. I go, they're going to remember us. You want to be remembered. And the fun about pitching that is we hit it absolutely fantastically.
And then worked on a whole series of M&A transactions, data domain, and what have you.
They trusted us, yeah.
And what's interesting is what you said, and talking to Tucci, the CEO at the time, he said, these are the questions you should be thinking about,
yes,
as opposed to what you asked us to come talk about.
He did, and it was 3 women, and I think we ran into Morgan Stanley in the lobby when we came
definitely
in.
ran into someone.
Somebody was in the lobby, and they looked at us like, what are these women doing? But that's you always want to, you figure, oh my God, these guys have been through multiple pitches. How do we stand out? Well, we gave tremendous effort. We were saying, this is great, but I actually think what you should be saying is the following. You might recall when they said, well, how are the 3 of you? We are made up of Israeli engineers and basically the front line of the Boston College football team. How are the 3 of you going to be able to handle these? I go, it's easy. I'm Irish Catholic from Ward 4. Michal is, engineer, lawyer, Israeli. And he said about Linnea, what about the blonde? I said, I go, she's Lutheran. She's married to a Jew. She's a referee. And it was, actually she was brilliant in software, fantastic banker as yourself. But so what were you doing when you did that? You were making them laugh. If you can make someone laugh, you penetrate through. And he knows, that's why they gave us the shot.
Break barriers, make it personal.
You're breaking it's personal. You're laughing at yourself. You're laughing at them. They wanted to make sure you wouldn't be intimidated in a culture that was tough. We already knew what a tough culture was.
We were living it every day.
We were living in it with really brilliant, fun people, all of whom I always found if you had a conflict with someone, you could just go to talk to them privately and say, what's going on here? How can I help this and change this, right? And deliver the firm as well that I cared about.
One story, even though it wasn't in my old kind of playing ground technology, but is really memorable, is the story you talk about in Williams, and you called it a story of faith.
Yes.
And I love that story. Maybe you can share that with the audience.
Sure. I think if I had to, in my entire career, think of something where I felt we actually did good for everybody, it was Williams. It was the summer of 2002. There were multiple chaotic elements occurring outside of Williams, which is a terrific pipeline company, natural gas pipeline company. But for those who, it's a long time ago, the Enron failed. It cratered a lot of different markets, which cascaded into everyone who was in the natural gas field. And Williams in particular found itself in this position. It had all of its debt, sort of bank line debts rolling at once. It was cash short and literally found themselves in a position where they could have easily gone into an uncontrolled bankruptcy, even though the value of their assets was far superior to their obligations. It was a liquidity crisis. Got called, went in, realized very quickly it was extraordinary. Also hanging around the hoop. By the way, really important to winning is to be in the room, because you will go to wherever. So I made one of our bankers stay there. He said, "What am I, living down here?" I go, "Just like sit in the lobby and be there." So we're on our way. Got there. We devoted the entire firm. I summoned Skip McGee, who was a legendary banker, still is, to come up, because we called him Captain Kirk, the man who was going to run the play. I had to maintain the emotional connections with the board because it was in deep conflict and a number of issues. And what we were able to do, which still stands, is an extraordinary experience, is everyone believed the company was going to go bankrupt. I didn't. Skip didn't. Our team didn't. We believed we could make a difference. We did a cold call to Warren Buffett.
That is amazing.
And he answered the phone because someone on the board knew him. I mean, he didn't know me from Adam, still doesn't. But cold call to.
But he should. But
he's in and just had told him. I remember, he was annoyed because he had invested $300 million in the company in a preferred 3 months earlier. He said, "How much do you need?" I said, "What we needed." But he was just a piece of it. But he was a critical piece because he's the gold standard. And he was like the good housekeeping seal of approval. So we knew if we could get him into this asset, which we could leverage with what is now called the Buffett Preferred, which is taught up at Harvard. And at one point he says to me, he goes, "How much do you need?" I go, "Well, it's overall $3.2 billion, but for you it would probably be about $500. And he goes, "Well, I have that." I said, "Well, could you bring it with you when you come?" And I mean, he must have thought I was crazy. And he goes, yeah. And I said, he goes, "Well, I don't have to do this." I know, but people will wonder if you did due diligence on your $300 million preferred that you put in 3 months ago, and that'll damage your brand. Do you want that? And he goes, "Well, I don't think it would, but I'll send down so-and-so." And sure enough, he came in, they did what they were supposed to do. He made a lot of money on that transaction because he understood. What does he always say? You buy straw hats in the wintertime. You make money when blood is running in the street. He understands core assets, and what this was a panic. So we were at the last minute the night before, and the building in Tulsa is modeled after the World Trade Center, about half the size, 50th floor. And Skip and I are in a room, and we're trying to get to the last thing we need to get done. And we need $10 million, okay? This is why I love Lehman Brothers. He goes, "You and I will personally commit this." I go, "I don't have $10 million. Do you?" And he goes, "We're going to commit the firm to $10 million line," right? We figured we're both going to die 1,000 deaths. We get on the phone with our CEO and their team. We explain. I remember Dick Full going, "So you committed $10 million?" He goes, "Do you have $10 million?" I go, "No, sir." But, this is what they were terrific. The firm went to the rating agencies, did everything they needed to do. But he and I are in this room, and all of a sudden we hear all this noise, because that morning when I was coming in, we were working so hard. I had gone over to take a shower, come back. That morning, the guards and security guards said to me, "Barbara," because I knew them, and they said, "What can we do to help you?" Because 7,000 jobs were at stake. Very big employer, really fabulous company. And I said, "Can you pray for us?" And we were in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And that night, I heard noise outside the building. And you looked out, there were lights and candles and everything else. And people had come. When's the last time you heard of people praying for investment bankers? But we literally, and then when we left the next day, they were in, because we got it done, they were in the lobby celebrating. And it was just the most extraordinary feeling. And it was an incredible management team. Everybody believed. I'm an optimist. I am. And I always believe there's a way. I mean, sometimes there isn't, but I always believe there is, because I think it can appear. And in this case, I literally asked them to pray, and they did. So I give this credit to God.
A story of faith.
He got it done.
So you pivoted from being a banker to having a seat inside the boardroom.
Yes.
Including on the board of Paramount, which dominated the headlines for the past year, I should say. And it's clearly not the first time you were in the center of a corporate tsunami, so to speak. Lehman bankruptcy is another one we share. And I know you can't speak as to what's happening inside Paramount Boat specifically, but I would love to hear your advice on maintaining more of a level head and drawing consensus as you navigate these uncharted waters in what may be perceived to be a zero-sum game?
Board work is, obviously you and I have both worked a lot with boards. Being on that board, you have duties, fiduciary duties, duties of care, duties of loyalty to the company. And when you're in a complex situation in a rapidly evolving industry with various parties and control features in place, you need to be with trusted partners. It's less about the firm than it is about the individuals and the trust that you have in their ability to deliver, the lawyers, your fellow board members, and navigating misconceptions and then responding. It's very difficult when you're in the news every day and half of what you read simply isn't true. But because people, I've always suspected it, even in the case of a media type company or a high-tech company, a Tesla, it just has a lot of noise around it because people are so interested in it. I mean, if you were manufacturing widgets with the same financial circumstances, they probably wouldn't care. These are, I have 3 other boards. They each have crises or things that occur. And so you are summoned and you have to be very present. And you have to have ownership and you have to always remember why you're there.
And try to do the right thing.
You always try to do the right thing. But it's for the benefit of the shareholders. It's understanding liabilities. I mean, I even think last week as you watched CrowdStrike and you're like, wait for the unimaginable, right? The company that itself is an incredible technology that protects everybody. You could just see what happened. Literally sends out a
patch.
A
fix, yep.
And they didn't test it, right? So they'll fix it. It'll get fixed, et cetera. We will all learn from that. I mean, the kind of question I would ask on a board is, hey, do we have those kind of vulnerabilities anywhere? It may not be tech. It may be somewhere else that you just don't anticipate it. You do your best. You will never anticipate everything.
So on a personal front, you mentioned before that having a family, and so you've managed a very successful career while raising 4 magnificent children, successful in their own right. And I wouldn't say that's for the faint of heart, being investment banker extraordinaire and raising a family, given the demands of the job. What advice would you have to women or bankers in general entering the profession and trying to find that balance?
Yeah, it's going to be very personal for everyone, right, and their family circumstances. I'm fortunate, my husband, he's a wonderful guy. He loved being with the kids. He has his own business, his own career, but he was always emotionally and totally emotionally available. I'm very lucky in that I was able to hire superb help. And in fact, one of the nannies is still with me 20 years later, and my youngest child is 30. So please explain that. Tom at one point goes to me, why is she still here? She helps. She's a great cook. She does everything for me. And that when I'm off running around, and he said, why do we still have so-and-so here? I said, well, 1, she's a member of the family. And 2, she's my nanny. I need someone to take care of me. So I would encourage, male or female, take care of yourself so you can take care of your kids. And take very specific time. The one thing that I did when they were all growing up, we loved to take everybody when everybody was old enough to go on a 2-week vacation, and I would always say, take the same 2 weeks in June. And we've been all over the world. Those are really fun memories that we've built up. And my 4 kids operate as a group in many ways, making fun of me or at some time when I'll say, this is what we need to do, they go, we're not first-year associates. I said, well, could you be like third year so you have some experience and maybe. But it's fun. And you need to do what's right for you. But, just remember, on your tombstone, when you're toast and out of here, they're not going to say you did 4 big deals in 1996 or whatever. It's going to be your family, your children. And, that is the core of an identity for me. It's very personal.
And so find a support system, find a balance outside of work.
And just remember, okay, because this is the one thing that I notice with people. When you hire help into your home, your most precious gifts, so pay them fairly, welcome them into your home, have them be family. And the people who work, that people who work for me were family. I would fight to the death to protect you.
So maybe on a closing question with a more philosophical bend, you said that you are an optimist, and the past few years have thrown quite a few curveballs. Whether it be a once-in-a-century COVID pandemic, the 40-year high inflation, the rapid pace of interest rate hikes post the ZERP era, and ongoing geopolitical tensions, and now the elections, which seem to have another, I would say, twist to them. And so from your seat, what is your view of where we are in the economic cycle? And what are your thoughts around the current state of affairs more broadly? Still optimistic with caution?
I'm always optimistic. Even in the worst circumstances, I'm looking for the light. It's just the way I was raised. When I was in college as a freshman and I was a scholarship student, I used to love to sit in the stacks in the library, and I found a book. This is freshman year. And it said, it's from Heraclitus, it's a quote, and it's, "If you do not hope, you will not find the unhoped for the way is hard to be found, and the path is all but impassable." And so you have to believe in order to be able to. So I look at the situation we're in now. I think economically, the U.S. is in a very strong position. Am I concerned about the global geopolitical? Absolutely. You'd love to see the tension levels come down. You'd love to see rhetoric not be mean or nasty or personal, right? It offends me as a human being. And it's not Democrat or Republican or anything else. It's just, could we be civil? It's difficult for me to look at people demonizing the other, right? That's always a bad thing. Find compromise, whether it's over here or over there. Just don't demonize. So I'm optimistic we will find our civil center. And I don't mean that politically. I mean civil center. We can agree. We could say tax policy should be this, or we should be doing this, or whatever that might be. But the nastiness is not appropriate. And I think that's true in business, where people, and actually what we're missing and what I really would want for our children is conversations where you're looking someone in the eye. You will not. You watch yourself. You will not behave. When you're talking to someone face to face, you will self-censor. Because nobody really wants to hurt another person, right? They'll say, oh, this isn't personal, but it is. So don't do it. So you have conversations, you can actually massively disagree. So our interest rates, I think they will come down. I think they will come down a little more slowly than people anticipate because the economy is so strong. The U.S. economy is leading, and ironically, because a lot of the aliens that are here are doing the jobs that Americans won't do, and they're working hard. And you always hear like they're the first person born in the generation, I'm like, are you kidding me? We all were at some point, right? Whether it was your parents, your grandparents, whatever. Stop, and and yes, you need to solve these issues. I think they're solvable if people can get to compromise and civil discussion. One of the most disturbing things to me, not in business is pretty civil, is when you listen to the politicians attack. When in fact we know before all this social media and making sure I get a clip of me on, saying something ridiculous, these guys and gals used to get together for dinner and they would figure it out. They might bombast their position and then they come back, oh, we found compromise. They need to find compromise.
Have you thought about going into politics?
No.
So here is to optimism, discourse, and civility.
The same.
Thank you very much, Barbara.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Storytellers in Business. If you enjoyed today's conversation, make sure to subscribe to Mizuho Storytellers in Business on your podcast platform of choice. You can also find us on LinkedIn by searching for Mizuho Investment and Corporate Banking, where you can follow us and add comment to our posts about this series. Thank you again for tuning in, and we hope you'll join us next time.
This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be copied, distributed, published, or reproduced in whole or in part. The information contained in this podcast does not constitute research or recommendation from any Mizuho entity to the listener. Neither Mizuho nor any of its affiliates make any representation or warranty as to the accuracy or completeness of the statements or any of the information contained in this podcast, and any liability thereof, including in respect of direct or indirect or consequential losses use or damage is expressly disclaimed. The views expressed in this podcast are not necessarily those of Mizuho, and Mizuho is not providing any financial, economic, legal, accounting, or tax advice or recommendations in this podcast. In addition, the receipt of the podcast by any listener is not to be taken as the giving of investment advice by Mizuho, nor to constitute that person a client of any Mizuho entity. For additional disclaimers and regulatory disclosures, please visit MizuhoGroup.com, Americas.